Right, everyone, it's me again. So this video today is about my story on where I've been with the futsal world, from my playing to my managing and coaching. So it's a bit the lads have been doing these videos for the YouTube channel, so I thought it was a good opportunity for myself to do one as well. It's not very fair that they're doing it and I'm not. But also it's a good chance to document this, because one day I'll, touch wood, I'll have grandchildren. I've got 4 children, 5, with the stepdaughter. So yeah, I'm definitely probably going to have grandchildren along the way. So it's just nice for them to see and hear what older granddad shops when I become granddad. Gets to know what he did with his football career and so on. So I think football began for me back when I was probably about 3 years old. My granddad used Brian back then. Used to take me for a little bit of a kick around when I was a youngster with the old flyaway balls. I think it was a blue or a yellow one. I was pictured with him, and I think that's it. But he was a Man United fan as well. The guy's down. He's from Muchmarkel originally. My great nana was in the RAF. That's how she met my granddad Stan. So they came up to Wrexham because he was from Wrexham and she was from Muchmarkel. Quite famous for something that was as well, but I'll let you all research that one. Infamous, probably more than famous. But yeah, so my granddad Hughes, he was I miss him every day. It was 2010. He left us, but he kind of instilled the football values into me. My uncles Brian and the late Michael Hughes, Skippy as they called him, he used to take me to watch their Sunday games on the weekends, because they were quite good footballers once upon a time. So football's been in the family quite a bit, not so much on the Ruscoe side as such, but even though I got the Ruscoe name, it was more a case that on the Hughes' side, and my uncle Michael was a good prolific goal scorer, and my uncle Brian was a good right back, left back. Apparently he went on to various levels, but both of them unfortunately didn't get to another level. I think my uncle Brian would always say that it's because drinking, women and cigarettes got in the way, but that they were my inspirations. So, but my first football happened because my cousin Chris Finchett, which he is on the Ruscoe side because his mum was Tricia. She basically asked my nana when I was I think I was about 7 or 8 when I first got into more of a mainstream grassroots side, and that was called Brickfield Rangers, and it was because Christopher was going there. Christopher went on to play for Wrexham FC and Colwyn Bay. He ended his career I think about 18 he did, but he was a great player, and he went and played teams like Juventus and everything when Wrexham FC had the original academy back in just before the 2000s. But Chris was quite a big inspiration in my earlier days because I used to go to his house. But anyway, Brickfield is where it began. I had a manager called Ken Hughes, absolute great character, and they formulated a nickname for me because apparently I resonated in my playing style, because I was an outfield player back then, of a great player called Ron Chopper Harris, because I used to, for some reason, some people like scoring goals, some people like making great passes. Mine was I wanted to tackle people and really win that ball. So that was that was my inspiration. And Ken's son called Chris, he formulated, "You're a chopper, you are." And I think that kind of built into the character of the person, because if I'm being honest with you, the nickname stuck. It became quite, for me, stuck with me, and Nana hated it. She said, "You're Andrew," but you speak to people in Wrexham, they all go as Chopper. But that, and it's gone into my adult life. But I suppose, that was that. But again, when I used to watch football, I think what used to arouse me, if that's the right word, was people who would tackle big tackles like Roy Keane, Vinnie Jones. They were just great characters. But there was one thing that really, really attracted me, and I got to thank the late John Nuttall for this, because I think as much as I was playing week in, week out, up until under nines level, when I started at 7, playing 2 years above, 1 year above, John Nuttall, one day, I think he must have got his hair off with me, because I was running around trying to kick people, and for some reason I must have been handballing it, but this was at under nines level at Bellevue in a competition, and he said, "Get in goal." And then the rest was history for me as a goalkeeper, to my position as a goalkeeper. And I was at Brickfield up until the age of under 12s, and I had some good managers then. Mark Tiny Roberts, he was one of my managers. Gareth Downing, Dave Nevitt. It was nice, Gareth Downing. I got to go full circle with him eventually, because in later life I convinced him to come and do the SC United of Wrexham team with me, which was meant a lot to myself, if I'm being honest, because not many people get to have a grassroots manager that you looked up to. He used to play for Arsenal as well, by the way. So, and next minute you end up managing with him, and what a great mentor he was. But got up to under 12s level, and playing in goal, we kept coming runners up with things. Got to some cup semi-finals, cup quarter-finals, but we just never did it. We had some good people come through that side. We were always like the second best. When we got a bit older, third best. But people like Gareth Evans, who went on to play for Wrexham FC, started off Kevin Druitt, and he went on to play for Wrexham FC. But then when Dennis Smith, I think, left or something, I don't know, Gareth could only explain that, he went on to play professionally in America, and he's now a great coach. So I've come through with some really good players. But anyway, going back to it, so we got to under 12s level. Under 13s, we started under 12 level, we started to attract some attention with local clubs. I'd been before this point to Wrexham District Club Boy trials, and that didn't work out for myself. And then and then next minute we played a game. I think it was against Acravire at home at Brickfield, because we just played. I forgot what in Park Youth in the semi-final. We lost 2-1 with a goal that, for some reason, some guy behind said it was a goal when it hit the line. It didn't even go in, and the referee gave it, and we broke our hearts. But our manager, Tiny Mark Roberts, he said, "Chopper, Gareth," and we thought, "Oh God, what have we done now? Outside now." And we went outside, and by the way, I'm a Wrexham fan. I was going to watch Wrexham at all this point, and going with my Uncle Peter, bought me season tickets and stuff like that, and going to the Cop, singing behind there. I used to love my Saturdays going to watch it. But then at this point, matches started getting to afternoons and so on. So you didn't go and watch Wrexham as much. But yeah, I got called outside. Me and Gareth. He said, "A scout here wants to speak to you," and it was a guy from Chester FC. Chester City then, and it was called John Reardon. Apparently he was a goalkeeper, and he basically wanted our parents' contact details and asked us to go for trials with Chester City Football Club. And it's to be scouted, whether it was Chester, the rivals of Wrexham, or anyone, it was just an honour. Well, when I was younger, all I've ever wanted to be at that point was a professional footballer. I would say I've achieved what I could achieve, but yeah, went on to went for trials, and our first trials was at the Chester City Satellites back then. A guy called Dave Fogg was running it, and Graham Vile, and we went to that. It was at the Chester Rudy. This was in the middle, and well, it was all right session, I suppose. Dave Fogg was an old-fashioned type coach. I think I gave him a little bit of cheek because we were easily just doing the running that he wanted us to do, and he said, "Are you cheeking me?" I went, "Oh, I don't know, am I?" He goes, do these sit-ups. So next minute I was doing sit-ups, and he got called away, and I carried on, and that was my nature. I wanted to impress. I've got work ethic back then, not now, but I found it easy to just do it. I just kept going, and he came back and he goes, "Have you carried on doing that?" I went, "Yeah." And he was just impressed. Anyway, we got told that we had a game against the Chester City Centre of Excellence. It was it's a bit different. The categories were back then, but you had Academy and Centre of Excellence, School of Excellence. Anyway, we turned up to a place called Clifton Drive where we played, and we played Chester. We lost 5-2 that day. And coming on it was in the summer. This is coming on to the 13s. Anyway, they then apparently said, "We would like to invite you to train with the actual under 13 side," and it was great. There's a few of us. There's quite a lot of Wrexham lads. There was Callum Hewitt, Dave Lewis, these big Wrexham fans as well. There was who else was there? It was Gareth Evans and myself, and I think there was one more. I can't think. I think they tried to convince another lad that I played with, but so we went there, and we carried on, and we played a few games more. We played Princess Villa. They're from Ellesmere Port, and I saved the penalty that day, and then I think we drew 2-2. I think something like that, and the Everton legend Kevin, I didn't know who he was at this point, but apparently he was Chester City's first team manager at the time, and he was there watching, called Kevin Ratcliffe, and apparently he seen what he saw, and I thanked him later on in life over Twitter, and he turned around and said, sign them all to Graham Vile, and I think Dave Fogg had gone at this point, and they signed us all. They got to put us on a 2-year contract. Anyway, so I ended up at Chester FC, and I played against teams like Wrexham twice. Played Sheffield United, Preston North End, Mansfield when they were up there. Who else did I play against? But anyway, they played against all of the Centre of Excellences, and it was a great camaraderie. We're getting the bus on the Sunday like 6 o'clock in the morning, not getting back till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was great. But unfortunately, my mum and dad had jobs at the time, and it was getting a bit of a struggle. The working class, they're working hard, and my mum said, "Look, we're struggling to get you to Chester, and maybe we need to consider, coming back to Grassroots." And what happened then was we had a chat with John Radin, and he said, "Look, we will, I'll help and take you." And but John, God bless him, he had 3 of us, and we were mentalists in the back of that car. And I was probably the worst one, and because I was, like I said, a character. My nature was just to want to have a wrestling match with everyone, and I think that car, it was a mini Metro, was bumping up and down like this all the way, and it was, I think John said, "Look, you're too mad, like it." That was, but anyway, so in the end, come to I was only getting because back then they played 3 halves, and I was only getting 1 quarter because they brought this lad in called Gaz, and I think they rated him, and he ended up at Wrexham in the end, and not doing much with his career in football, but but anyway, that was that. But he he was getting more of the halves, and the managers kept leaving. We had a Southampton manager at one point, and then we ended up with John Cross. But in between this, we had a parent as a manager at Chester, and I think it was just disheartening because all he wanted to do was play his favourites. And so in the end, we rang up Graham Vile and we said, can we have a release form? But back then there was two types of releases. One, so you can go and play for your Grassroots, and two, release. And we said, no, we're going to release ourselves because all circumstances didn't work out. And then I ended up going back to Brickfield. But in the midst of all this, my mum got on the phone to Wrexham SC and ended up speaking with Brian Flynn, and they invited me in for trials at Wrexham SC. Probably one of my biggest regrets, but because I was going for training when they were at Lex with the goalkeepers on the Monday with Mark Morris and some good names like Carrots and great character. Dan Evans had come over then as well, that I was at Chester with, and ended up working with Dan at Chester in later life. And he unfortunately, I had a puncture one day, and it's one of the biggest regrets because I think it gave me a bit of quit mentality, and I just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered. I'll stick at Grassroots, and I was silly, if I'm being honest with you. I should have carried on pushing and tried to give it a go, but I just fell out of my depth. I just felt like I wasn't good enough, and I blame the fact that that I didn't, because I was only going around the corner 2 mile away, and I look back at it now and I go, well, why did I quit? Why, But again, I think it's helped me to be a better coach and how to support people and players, if I'm being honest, and try to get them to understand not to quit. But anyway, that happened, and and I was back at Brickfield, and I was playing my games, and obviously I could see that I was a different type of player as a goalkeeper and so on. But I think I started to get a little bit disheartened at Brickfield. But anyway, we were meant to be going to Holland, and me being stupid in school, there's a game called Death Square. Basically, it's like physical kind of crazy football, and me being me, like a bit of craziness. And anyway, I threw up in the air and landed on, it was called the sausage machine, as they call it, and basically everyone gets their arms, links it in, and 1, 2, 3, threw me up in the air, and boom, landed on my head. And by the way, I'm meant to be going to Holland in about 3 weeks' time at this point with Brickfield, and I broke my collarbone. And broke my collarbone, and lost my mum and dad a lot of money, and we didn't go to Holland. It was a bit disheartening because some of the players decided to ring me and say, we're all going to Holland, because we had mobile phone. The old Cellnet phones were coming then. I thought, that's lovely of you, thanks very much, meant to be my mates, but go and enjoy yourselves. Anyway, so that had happened, but while during Chester, I went on trial at the Wrexham District schoolboy trials and didn't get in. Anyway, so the next season, carried on playing for Bricky, and I suppose I quit then at that point because it was in my head that I wanted to play outfield as a midfielder, centre-half midfielder, and Hightown, where a lot of my mates from my junior school were playing at, and I wanted to play with my mates for a year, and do you know what, it was probably the best time of my life playing wise, because the pressure wasn't there to win, and I don't think I had a chat in schools before when someone asked me this question, and I will admit it was probably the best point. But back then you didn't have academy or well, it started to come in, because I'll go into that point in a minute, but you could only just play Grassroots and that was your football done. Anyway, so played for Hightown, scored about 8 goals that season. I played centre half, I played midfield, and I think at this point Brickfield were trying to say, oh, come on Chopper, come back, because you want to play out and you can play out for us. And that team unfortunately folded, and I always felt a little bit guilty that I may have been probably the catalyst of that, because I could have stayed, and I was there thoroughbred, I think what you call it. Cut me open, I was green and white. Anyway, that was that. Anyway, we went to where I've lost my trail of thought. Hang on. But so anyway, we went to Hightown. Great. And then the season after, I think we had our mock GCSEs, and I didn't do so well. And my dad said, "Listen, you're not going to play football this year, son, because you're concentrating on your GCSEs." And okay, it was great. I come out with 7 C's, 1 B, 1 A, and 2 D's. So it was a great decision. But at that moment in time, I was 15, coming on 16, and I was training with the Brickfield Rangers men's. And my dad didn't know, but I used to hide my boots until he caught me one day. That was quite a scary moment. But he did it for the right reasons, and it's proven in my life. But yeah, so I went and I was training with them and got a couple of games at a young age, and Paul Lewson was very encouraging of that. And the year after my GCSEs, I got on for pass. I ended up playing for Brickfield outfield, funny enough, for Kev Roberts and Tony Williams. They were my first managers, and so I went back to Brickfield. That was a mental side. That was, I had all they wanted to do. I suppose it kind of resonated with my personality as a player, but all they wanted to, because I had to play in goal one game, and we were at New Brighton, and I was in goal, and I had these 2 centre halves, Bobby and Andy Howard, and they were going through players. Bang! Jimmy was trying to get. Oh, it's great. It's great. Like, I'm thinking, wow. They were sticking up for each other. If something got a bit heated, they were in there sorting it, and that was my first season. But again, I started work at this point, so I was working at Booker's in college. I was trying to play football, and I got to halfway through the season, and I quit. Quit. Something that I should never have done, but and anyone knows football development, 16 to probably 23. Hence why you have an under-23s league, and you have an under-21s and under 19s. But it's probably the best formative years of your playing learning experience. But again, I quit, and I ended up focusing on work and college, and came out with A levels, and and then I ended up got to 18, and I went back at 17. I tried to play for Keith McBurney, but I was like near enough being sick on the pitch. I was still slim, but I tried playing left back, and these players were turning me.